Welcome to another topic video. This one I'm going to be talking about the events, the Marvel events of 2017 so far, and this is also a bit of a rant per se, and of how Marvel's doing their events this year so far. There's been 3 events so far, with 2 basically continuing from last year. The 2 that continued last year was Inhumans vs. X-Men and Clone Conspiracy. The events that happened this year so far have been Monsters Unleashed, Sitting in a Tree, and To Death Do Us Part, which that one is going to wrap up next week. But in the case of the events so far, Inhumans vs. X-Men, that did lead to stuff. Basically led to the relaunch of the X-Men and the Inhumans being relaunched as the Royals by Al Ewing, which is a pretty okay book. In the case of X-Men, at least the 3 X books, at least 2 were relaunched, like X-Men, All New X-Men came X-Men Blue, Extraordinary X-Men came X-Men Gold. Apparently the Astonishing X-Men series is coming back for some strange reason. I don't know why, it's been like 4 years since the book ended. And of course there's Weapon X, I'll get to that in a minute. Generation X, Cable, Jean Grey, and Iceman, with Old Man Logan and all new Wolverine continuing. Of course, Deadpool's continuing as well. I have read the first issues of X-Men Gold and X-Men Blue. Good issues. Highly recommend them. Weapon X by Greg Pak. I knew about the Greg Pak writing it. I did not know Greg Land was going to be doing the artwork. Oh boy. This book was a disappointment, to say the least. And this is a bit of a forgettable issue. Nothing really much happened. I mean, the only things I can think of that actually happened in this issue is that you got a chance to see a naked Lady Deathstrike in a tube and using her claws to carve out "I will kill you all," seeing Domino Warpap's name on a couple of tubes, and seeing a forgettable conversation between Old Man Logan and Sabretooth. I'm like, that's it? That's the first issue of Weapon X. The team doesn't even come together. They don't do... It's like this is a do-nothing issue. A very weak start to the series. Now, Greg Pak has written a lot of good stuff before, but this is just weak, to say the least. Now, in the case of Clone Conspiracy, Amazing Spider-Man is doing okay, right? It's doing pretty decent right now. In the case of, what led into when it came to Amazing Spider-Man, led to Norman Osborn coming back and Silver Sable for some strange reason. Silk quit the Fact Channel, and apparently she started working for S.H.I.E.L.D. now. For some reason, I've heard a rumor that the series might get canceled soon. I don't know. Prowler ended after only publishing 6 issues, which I'm kind of like, why? The series was good. I mean, yeah, the first 5 issues featured a clone, but at least it was a good series. Heck, even had Julia Carpenter as a supporting character. I'm like, how can people not buy this series? To say the least. But at least Clone Conspiracy led to some stuff in the Spider-Man books. Now, what about the 3 events happened this year so far? Monsters Unleashed. Well, it led to a series. No. Yeah. It was a quick 5-issue limited series with some one-shots, but all of them except for one. I think the only one I didn't read was the Guardians of the Galaxy one-shot. But it's a pretty interesting event nonetheless. Then, for some reason, I have no idea why anybody at Marvel thought this was a good idea and who was asking for this. Apparently, Monsters Unleashed is becoming an ongoing series, getting a new number 1, which, fine, the Star Wars Limited series is really bothering that much. Same creative team, and someone even asked this question, I agree with it. Who asked for this to become an ongoing series? Who asked for this? As far as I could tell, nobody. But I'm going to look into it because, I like Colin Bunn's writing. Now, what about the other 2 events? To Death Do Us Part, that has not wrapped up yet. So I can't exactly give an opinion on it, but it's a pretty interesting event nonetheless. The only thing kind of bad about it is the end of the really cool series, Deadpool and the Mercs of Money, which Cullen Bunn wrote the first 8 issues of that, and the last couple issues are written by the person who writes Gwenpool. I don't know why the series got canceled. I really don't know. Um, yeah, the series is going to be wrapping up. Hopefully it leads to something. Yeah. But what about Sitting in the Tree? The crossover between Spider-Man, the Miles Morales Spider-Man book, and Spider-Gwen. As far as I know, nothing. It's just a quick little crossover. I mean, in the case of Spider-Man, it barely advanced his character. It didn't lead much to anything in this title except for his mother finding out that Miles is Spider-Man. That's really it. Yeah, nothing really much else has happened since that crossover ended. I haven't read Spider-Gwen hasn't come out yet. Next issue Spider-Gwen hasn't come out yet, so I don't have an opinion on it so far. Opinion on it yet. So, yeah. So, the 3 events that started off this year have been pretty okay, but it's like, what was the whole point of these crossovers? Monsters Unleashed is just a quick way to start off the year. I mean, as far as I know, it got a good advertisement. At least Marvel's actually learning their lesson from the past 2 years, not to bury it by the summer event. I mean, as far as I know, when it comes to Secret Empire has barely got an advertisement. It's even got less advertisement than Monsters Unleashed ever did. The Monsters Unleashed did. At least Monsters Unleashed was advertised and promoted pretty well. I can at least praise Marvel for actually fixing a complaint that people probably have for the past 2 years, where you have an event that start off the year with and it gets buried by the summer event advertisement. Yeah, in 2015 you had Black Vortex, an awesome crossover, buried by the advertisement the advertisement for that was buried by Secret Wars. And then last year they did the same thing again by having Standoff get buried by Civil War 2. And by the way, both series were delayed. But in the case of Civil War 2, it was only in the main series. No other series was delayed. But this year, it's like, what's the whole point of these crossovers if they lead to virtually almost nothing? Like, the 3 so far. 1 led to an ongoing series no one was asking for. I'm like, why? And the other one that already wrapped up hasn't really much led to anything, and the other one hasn't wrapped up yet. So the only event coming out this year is Secret Empire. I think I heard something that Generations is also going to be a crossover this year, but I haven't heard much of anything about that yet. So 2017 for comics-wise for Marvel is starting out pretty weak. Yeah, it's having a weak start when it comes to events. Yeah, a pretty weak start. Last year, it started off strong with Standoff and then led into Civil War 2, which had a good start to it, and then floundered toward the end. Yeah. So, okay. At least Marvel is not doing the thing where let's just throw in every single title and tie it to this event for no explained reason like they did with Civil War 2 last year. At least in the case of Standoff, it actually crossed over with a good chunk of the Avenger books in like one solo book. Excuse me. And that led to stuff. Yeah, it led to 2 new ongoing series and stuff in the Captain America book and a little bit of stuff for Avengers. But at least that led to something. Monster Unleashed has barely led to anything at all. I mean, in the case of the books that tied into it, as far as I know, nothing. It's just basically a bunch of one-shots, just like it did with Age of Ultron. Yeah. So, I know people have been complaining Marvel needs to stop with the events. I mean, I don't mind crossing between a couple of titles, but as long as it leads to something. They look at, let's say, Spider-Women, for example. That actually led to stuff in their respective titles afterwards. I mean, Silk and, of course, Spider-Gwen got a bunch of character development even after that crossover. Spider-Woman got a little bit after that, but at least led to something in their respective books. In the case of Sitting in the Tree, hasn't led very much to anything at all. So, honestly, I know people have been telling Marvel stop with these events because usually that may think, oh, maybe cause a temporary sales boost. Half the time, most of the time, it really doesn't. Just usually, most of the time, it causes the title to get canceled, to say the least. But Secret Empire, as far as I can tell, hasn't got much of advertisement. I mean, has anybody seen any advertisement at all for Secret Empire in any comic book that's come out so far recently, since Civil War II: The Oath? Seriously, there has been no advertisement for Secret Empire. I've seen nothing, and I think it's starting up next month. Yeah. So once Deadpool, Death to a Spark wraps up, there is no events at all. There is nothing. I think Marvel's giving the whole event thing a rest for a bit before they start up another one. Yeah. So at least that Marvel is actually giving people a breather. In the case of DC, they don't have constant event after event after event after event. They used to, but they haven't really done that since 2011. At least to give readers a breather. Marvel most time doesn't give readers a breather at all because they have to come up with event after event after event. This year so far, we've had overall 5 events in 4 months. But 2 of them were continuation events from last year. I don't count Civil War II because that actually concluded last year and they just released a one-shot that just deal with the aftermath in January. So Civil War II does not count. Inhumans vs. X-Men Clone Conspiracy does count because those were continued from last year. So 5 events in 4 months. So, like I said, 2 led to something. The other 3 really did really much anything. So, I kind of have to ask, what are you going to do, Marvel? Seriously, if you're going to do these events, can you please have them actually have consequences? In the case of Monsters Unleashed, there is no consequences for this crossover at all. Death to a Spark, I'm sure that's going to lead to some consequences. But Sitting in the Tree, that led to jack squat. But at least Clone Conspiracy actually is leading to some consequences in the Missing Spider-Man book. Silk has got a little bit, of course, probably got cancelled. And by the way, I will talk about another video about the titles we canceled this year so far. I'll talk about it in the next type of video. But, really, Marvel 2017 events, mostly pointless. Yep. Alright, that's it for this topic video. Stay tuned for the one I'll talk about the canceled titles and why I think these titles should not have been canceled. Okay? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.